So hi, I'm really happy to see you. I don't know if I should introduce myself, but I'm Ioana and I'm the sick president today of ToastmastersCluj. Lovely to see you again. Luckily, we have the Toastmasters meeting because it helps me keep track of the days of the week. I don't know if it's helpful for you, but sometimes I wake up and I say, what day is it today? Today is Tuesday. I have Toastmasters today. Or, yay, today is Monday. Tomorrow I have Toastmasters. Yeah, I'm not gonna keep much of your time because we are running late and maybe we can catch up. So the purpose of us meeting here is to have an environment in which to expose ourselves with good and bads in order for us to grow both personally and professionally, and also to increase our self-esteem as some of you said it's important to have and to acknowledge. Um, as you might know, every Toastmasters meeting is recorded, and our PR department is also taking photographs during the meeting, and they will post them on Facebook later on. So if you wish that your image does not appear on the internet, on social media, then maybe it would be a good idea to tell them. If we have PR team members here, maybe raise a hand, identify them, and they can erase your photo from Facebook, or maybe just turn off your camera, and that will keep you safe. I'm gonna invite on the virtual stage Marian Pânzariu, who is our host and Toastmaster for this evening, and I will ask him to share with us what he and Adelina prepared for us today. Marian?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for a beautiful introduction. And when I think about this meeting, especially the title, I chose this because I had some problem with my sleep in the past. At also in 6 years ago, I have some problem with my alcohol addiction somehow, and food problem, and I have a mix of workaholic. I stayed in the overtime in the night to work and do other stuff and gaming, watch on series or movies. And after a bit of time, I observed that my focus and also my health, it was decreasing every day. And one day I just stopped doing that. I was on the edge of my my health somehow, and I've started to improve something, and I started to improve one little things in my life, and it was sleep, because I was not very good on sleep. On that time, I hated to wake in the morning, and it was tough for me to wake on the 6 a.m. in the morning, especially for me. And I want to ask you, what happens if we don't recover from good sleep? What happens if we do not sleep? If you know, please raise your hand and unmute yourself and speak your opinion. Yeah, Razvan?
Our hair and nails grow longer faster.
Totally agree. With the hair, I suppose.
Okay. Adi? You raise your hand.
Yeah, what happens to me is first I get moody, then I get cranky, then I get unbearable, and then probably I get dead.
Okay, Kata?
Obviously, you die.
On the end, we all die.
But I do know that people can live for much longer without food or without water than without sleep.
Yes. You can live without food at least 20 days. But without sleep and without water, we cannot do much best. At least, I guess, 2 days or 3 days. Good. And I know we have time to time lack of sleep, and the problem of the lack of sleep is especially it'll increase memory loss and also focus. We cannot focus on doing things, and time to time we increase heart disease, insomnia, and also influence our hormone level. And I want to introduce in the meeting the 3 phases of the sleep that was explored in last 100 years. It is about the REM phases, the light sleep, and the deep sleep. So, do you know what is REM? The acronym REM means?
Rapid eye movement.
Yeah, correct.
No?
Rapid eye movement.
Rapid eye movement.
Yeah, it is corresponding with dreaming. Is the phase when you can have a lot of dream, and dreams are very confusing time to time because we don't have a pattern. We don't know if it is real or not. It is a mix of information over there. And also we have, after the REM phases, we have a light sleep. Over there, we can move our body. We somehow relax our body, not completely relax. We start to to have some movements on the bed. And the last phase is the deep sleep. Do you know what happened on this phase of deep? Not exactly. we are not completely dead, but our body is do not respond. We don't have control of our body. It is paralyzed. And on this phase, we start to transfer our information from the day to our big storage from our subconscious. But before we do that, I will want to introduce the phase of the meetings. The phase of the meetings are created by prepared speeches and improv speeches and feedback. And we start to present our feedback because it is important to know how can we improve our sleep, what we need to measure in this way to improve our sleep, our relaxation, our memory, our focus, our concentration. And I will start to invite the general evaluator, Adriana Platon. But before that, I will remember that we have a question of the meeting. And tonight, the question, it is what you specially do to sleep better. And Adelina answered me like this. I usually fall asleep very easily, but when I have a problem with falling asleep, a dose of fresh air, before going to bed really helps. So in big round of air, Adelina, Platon.
Thank you, Marian. Hello, everyone. Marian also gave me his answer for tonight's question. So what he specifically do to sleep better? He takes hot showers. Thank you, Marian. My purpose here tonight is to evaluate everything that happens. And for that, I have a team. I won't do this by myself. And for that, we have three categories of evaluators. First of it are the technical evaluators, which are the grammarian, the A counter, and the timer. The second types of evaluators are the speech evaluators, and they give a specific feedback to those who will present tonight their speeches based on specific objectives. And last but not the least, the third category of evaluators is you, the public. I encourage you to use the sli.do platform or the Zoom group chat to give us feedback regarding our tonight's meeting. I will start, now I will start to present my team. And I will start with the technical evaluator. And tonight's grammarian is Razvan Farkas, and he gave us his answer to tonight's meeting. He said, well, let's say that my sleep routine exists somewhere. About sleeping better, honestly, lately I haven't been sleeping that well, but I can't wait to see what others have answered so I can be inspired. Let's welcome Razvan Farkas in a big round of applause.
Thank you, Adelina, for that fine introduction. I want to tell you today that in this thing called life, we have invented something marvelous, languages. And because we wanted to get along and understand what the other is saying, we attached another marvelous invention to languages called grammar. I think this also makes sure we speak the same language. Toastmasters, of course, knows how much everyone loves grammar, so they invented a whole technical role for this. The mission for the grammarian role, as the name says it, is to correct the grammar. Mostly. It has other parts, but this is the most important. I encourage you to use the word of the day, which is dreamy. I'm going to use it as in an example now. She gets this dreamy expression on her face when she talks about food. It is an adjective. It means having a magical or pleasantly unreal quality, dreamlike, given to or indulging in daydreaming. Thank you, and see you in the evaluation section with my report. Adelina.
Thank you, Razvan. Let's move to the second technical evaluator for tonight's meeting, which is the A counter. And we have in this role Claudiu Nemes. He gave us his answer, and he said this. I count sheep. Actually, I use acupressure points to falling asleep. And he explained acupressure unblocks meridian using gentle pressure on specific points along the energy lines called acupoints. And a big round of applause. Let's welcome Claudiu Nemes.
Hi. So my role for this evening is to encourage fluent speeches. And I will observe and I will note every distressing word or word prolongation or intersection or some repetitive words. So for this reason, I will be careful for each of you who will speak. And I have let's say, some interesting things. Did you know that during the night in your dreams, you didn't have dialogue with distressing or feeling words? That's real. Just to be sure, you will see it. But actually, you should be awake. Good. But for don't use your pause, your this feeling or distressing word, you should use pauses. And that's very good because you should shut down your mouth. And in this case, it's very important you will have good reaction in front of your listener because it's good impact for your speech. So don't use distressing word, use pauses. I will come back with my report later on. So please, General Evaluator Adelina, thanks.
Thank you to Claudio. The last but not the least technical evaluator for tonight's evening is our timer, Claudio Philip. He gave us his answer and he told us so. I can sleep better after a day without strong emotional experiences. I try to be calm, to find peace with myself and be grateful as much as I can. I also pray a little and ask for blessing and grace. I also try to forgive myself and others. Let's welcome in a big round of applause, Claudio Philip.
Hello everybody, my name is Claudiu and in this evening I will be your timer. Before I start presenting my role, I want to tell you a quote that I searched of Benjamin Franklin. Lost time is never found again, so time is important and we have to pay attention to it. In this role, I prepared for myself 3 pencils and I will lift them in this way. For the prepared speeches, I will left my green pencil when 2 minutes are left, yellow when 1 minute is left, and the red one when the speech is over. For the table topic speakers, for the A counter, and for the timer, and myself, I will lift at 1 minute green, 1.5 yellow, and 2 minutes red. For the speech evaluators, they will have 3 minutes in total. I will lift at 2 minutes green, at 2.5 yellow, and at 3 minutes the red pencil. And for the 5-minute presentation, the general evaluator grammarian, I would lift at 3 minutes the green one, at 4 minutes the yellow one, and at the end the red one. So this will be my my role. Thank you very much. See you at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudio. This is my technical evaluators team, and the other part of my team you will welcome in the third part of this evening. And before I will give back the words to Marianne, I would like to tell you and to mention it that our role here as evaluator, it's not to judge or to punish somehow the people, it's to help you see better on what you need to work and to encourage you to perfect your presentation skills in public speaking. Thank you very much, and I'll give my word back to Marian Punzariu.
Thank you, Adelina. And we going forward on our first phases, the dreaming phases, the phase of preparing speeches, where we have three speakers, but they prepared some speech about their objective, their project. And the first speaker, it is Petre Huriala. And he is on the path dynamic leadership on the level negotiation the best outcome, and he had to prepare a speech about a past or oncoming negotiation. The negotiation must be one that the speaker has participated in or will participate in. The speaker content is supported by the style persuasive, humorous, informal, or other type of style. The duration, it is for 7 minutes. Evaluator, it is Ioana Neksha. The title of his speech is BATNA and Risk Negotiation Tactics. And also Petre, he answered to our meeting question like this. All thoughts, I am mindful that sleep is important. I don't have a sleep routine. Petre Hurialo with his speech, BTNA and Risk Negotiation Tactics. Petre?
Thank you, guys. BATNA and risky negotiation tactics. Uh, um, Negotiation is present in our life every day, yet if you like it or not. So it might be present in a more informal way when we negotiate with our partners, what activities we should do in a weekend, or what movie should we go to the cinema to see, or more formal in a way that we negotiate our salary, a promotion, or a new car. Uh, this is my third time I'm speaking about negotiation, so I will be a bit more specific because the devil is in the details. So I'm going to talk about BATNA and risky negotiation tactics. And why do I mean by that? Or what do I mean by that? So BATNA is best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This is something everybody should have or should go through before a negotiation, and it goes hand in hand with my personality. I really like preparing before having or doing something. So BATNA, if you go to a negotiation, you should have that. You should know exactly what you want from that negotiation, what is the desired outcome, what is the least amount of goods, or what is the minimum value that you should get from that negotiation. If you don't have that, you're not prepared enough, and you should not go to negotiation. So this is BATNA. This is similar to what the Toastmaster manual or website is showing us, or is giving us by that sheet with objectives. So these are similar concepts. What do I mean by risky negotiation tactics? There are some cases when we are in a position of power. And when we're doing that, we tend to negotiate from an aggressive point of view, competitive, and we give the others much less than we should have. So my message today would be towards that situation when we should have a specific mindset, and I will tell you exactly how I think you should approach those cases, because you will learn how to tackle these difficult situations when, even though you have the upper hand, you might not gain anything because people might refuse to cooperate. In the past, I used such techniques, and one such example is the one that so if you play Monopoly, you know that there are cases, and I encounter such cases when I had multiple resources from one type, let's say rock, and the others didn't have much or didn't have any. So many times I use this competitive approach when I say or had an attitude of take it or leave it, or I give you one rock, you give me three ships. ship. Yeah. So this is something that can go into this category, and it's not the best way to approach the tactics, the situation, because people might refuse. And in my experience, most often than not, they refuse. They prefer to just give 4 ships to the bank than give me 3 ships. Why? Because they consider that the bargain is not fair. This outcome is also proven by science, and the scientists had a similar example, not with monopoly, but with money. So they, on a group of subjects, they had a case where one of them gets $10 or 10 lei if he manages to give another party, or to negotiate with another party, to give some amount of that money. So for example, I have 10 lei. If I manage to give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lei, we can split that amount. If I don't manage to do that, nobody gets anything. And the research showed that if the amount of money that I give you, it's small, like 1 or 2 lei, you will refuse the bargain, even though from an economy point of view, you get something. So 1 leu, it's much more than nothing. People refuse this because they considered that this is not fair. And even though they lost, they preferred that option. So the moral of the story here is that even though if you are in a position of strength, you have the power in that negotiation, you should consider being fair with the others and having or taking a win-win approach. And by win-win, I mean you also win the relationship, not only the outcome for that negotiation. Because it might you might encounter cases when you will first of all need to negotiate again with that person, and if you ruin the relationship, it will be more difficult, or you will even lose the negotiation at hand because people consider that it's not fair, and they will refuse to go ahead, even though they objectively lose more when they refuse the bargain. So all in all, I think you should prepare for a negotiation, and this is what I mean by BATNA. And also for these cases, when you prepare your negotiation, you should take into consideration to pay attention to what the other person needs and to be empathic or empathetic. So not try to squeeze as much as possible and really have a win-win situation, not really a win-lose situation when the other person becomes emotional and refuses to continue the negotiation. Thank you.
Thank you, Petre, for your speech of negotiation. And it is important to win also the product, and also the relationship with that person, and not just the product. Before we continue our session for next speaker, I encourage you to send Petre some feedback about his speech, and we can use our chat from the Zoom, or send privately, or we can use Slido.
Just chat today, not Slido.
Okay, just chat. You can select to send privately just for Petri. If you want to be anonymous.
Give me feedback. Give me feedback. You can send the feedback without being anonymous. I'm not, I will not mind. And also it will be a while until we see each other again, so I might forget about it. So it's don't worry.
Okay. You can help me with the time. Can let me know when 1 minute expire with red card. So we'll wait 1 minute for feedback. And in the meantime, I can send some tricks and tips about the sleep or how to improve the sleep. And the first, it is try to catch more sunlight in the early in the morning. Especially, it will increase the production of melatonin, vitamin D, and in this way you can have more quality sleep during the night. Okay, so the minute of feedback is finished, and we go to the next speaker. It is Cătălin Bălan, and it is on the path dynamic leadership with level 3 dynamic negotiation the best outcome with the same description. He had to present a speech about a past or upcoming negotiation. The negotiation must be one that the speaker has participated in or will participate in. The speech content is supported by the style, persuasive, humorous, information, or other type of style. The duration, it is for 7 minutes, and the speech, it is evaluated by George Blaga, and the title of his speech, it is Overcoming the Fear of Negotiation. Cătălin, he also answered to the question of the evening like this: I just go to the sleep when I'm tired and do not try to stay away too late. Cătălin Bălan with his speech, Overthinking the Fear of Negotiation.
I check, everyone can hear me? All good? Everyone can hear me. Nice. Show me a big thumbs up if all is good during the meeting. To begin, I have a question for you. Is there any activity, preferably an important one, might be professional, like, holding a public speech, or might be something personal like dancing, but an activity which scares you, which makes you a little bit fearful or shameful because you don't really feel good at it? Anyone has something like that? Anyone goes there, right? I know how you feel. Mainly because that was negotiations for me. Now, several months ago, while I was dodging this speech topic, I would have folded any single negotiation I would have been a part of. I would have run from them as fast as I could. It would affect other aspects of my life, like when going for an interview, I would be very, very stressed early on, just thinking about the negotiation that would happen afterwards regarding the price, the pay. Now, after having spent several months in a leadership position in this wonderful club that you guys are building, and having read about the topic a little bit online, I started to build a little map about what I am doing right and wrong and what I could do to improve and get over the fears of negotiations. Would you guys like to hear what's on my map? I am so glad to see the excitement, so let's begin. Now, there's two main things that you need to know on a map. First one, and the first question that I ask is, where am I? And by that, when talking about negotiations, it's important to know whether you're selling or negotiating. Now, originally, I would have thought that these two are not necessarily two different things, because when you think about buying a car, you're negotiating for the price of a car. But the moment you start talking price, you've already decided that you want that particular type of car. So let's go back to the example we brought before, an interview, right? You've been there, I've been there. You've been through the exam, through the tests, you've gotten past the interview, and now you're with your boss negotiating your pay. Now, if you're like me, maybe you get stressed because you don't know how much you're worth or how much you should ask for because you're fearful about the situation. But keep in mind that you've already gotten the job. The sale has already been done. You're in the negotiation to start discussing details of how this would happen. Right? The risk is not that high. You're not going to lose your job because because you misnegotiate at some point. You're just going to go back to selling, back to trying to convince someone. At least that's how I learn and how to mitigate the risk. I can see this day to day through where negotiations can happen in lower risk environments like Toastmasters. Say I'm taking a role for one of our meetings. Say I go for a facilitator role like a general evaluator or something. Now I've already taken that role. It was already sold to me. I already got it. But I can still negotiate with other parties involved, like the Toastmaster, how much time I want to spend in a meeting doing facilitation, or should I be focusing more on my evaluation skills? I have that option there to negotiate the details of the arrangement and to try to explore what I actually want in the meeting. So that was the first question, figuring out where I am, whether I'm selling or I'm negotiating, whether I'm trying to convince someone or we're trying to define the small details of the transaction that is about to happen, right? Define how we're each going to help us. Now, the second thing that you really need to know on a map is where you're going. And as it happens with the previous question, like in deciding for a role, like where am I going is a very important question. Petre brought it up very importantly before, because that would affect the way you strategize and the way you talk throughout the meeting. Let's take another simple example from Toastmasters, one that I've had to play with a lot throughout the year. Think of speech scheduling. A lot of people want speeches, or a lot of people want different roles in the meeting, and I tend to facilitate negotiations between when a person goes in a meeting or another. Even though we have a general rule of, the person who spoke a long time ago gets higher priority, there's still a lot of places with negotiations. To give you a concrete example of when my objective is slightly different than other scenarios is with our next speaker, Adrian. Adrian is very close to completing one of the higher achievements throughout Toastmasters. He's close to becoming a DTM. And with him, I often negotiate much more in depth and much more detail when his speech is going to be. We're trying to plan this a long time in advance. With other people, it might be a much simpler scenario where we're just negotiating, hey, do you want the speech in English or do you want the speech in Romanian? Because we have a lot of people who want speeches, and the context is slightly different on how I apply negotiations. And I must say that just the act of practicing them and spotting where negotiations happen, and like I said, even throughout simple roles in Toastmasters where you can explore other new things, you become better at identifying where you can go. So those are the two things that I really want to share about the basics of overcoming your fears. Having a map and identifying where you are and where you're going. Asking the right questions. Am I in a negotiation or am I trying to sell to reduce the risk? And what am I trying to achieve in order to establish the right details? Once I found these two questions established, I can start learning about more advanced techniques like the one Petre presented before to just get a better outcome in either my negotiation or get a better win-win scenario. But to get past my fear, I have to find a map. Now, I hope this map is useful for you, or I hope you can learn how to ask other questions that place you better on the map. And if you find really, really good ones, please bring them on and practice and show me what they are, because I'm very, very curious to find out more about what your experiences are as well, as I learned through my role in Toastmasters.
Thank you, Katalin, for your map of negotiation. It's important to observe when to negotiate your subject. And before we go to the last our speaker, we can send feedback for Katalin. also in the chat, privately or not. You have 1 minute, and during 1 minute I'll try to send another tricks and tips for good sleep. And I encourage you to go to sleep at the same time every day, to have a good quality sleep during to have a good quality sleep. The importance of have schedule your sleep time, it is important because it will help you to increase your quality of the sleep. In this way, you can know on the 10 you have to go to sleep. And in this way, it is your time to relax. It is your time to recover your brain, your mind, and also your body. Okay, we'll go forward on the last speaker, and it is Adrian Sălășan. And he is on a path persuasive speaking, on the level addressing the opposition, and I will describe a little bit of his level. He had to present a talk, one of a controversial subject, persuaded the audience to accept or at least consider the viewpoint, appeal to audience logic and emotion. And his evaluator, it is Horatiu Stănculescu, and duration, it is a little bit special for Adrian. He has 8 minutes for speech and 3 minutes for Q&A. I ask Claudiu to pay attention on this. The title of his speech, it is Politics in the Most Important Aspect of Your Life, Get Involved. He also answered to our meeting's question like this. I do my best to eat healthy food and move as much as possible during the day. Also, I am strive to ignore my phone or other types of screen at least 1-2 hours before going to sleep. Very good. Adrian Sălășan, with his speech, politics is the best important aspect of your life. Get involved. Adrian?
Am I audible? Yeah? Okay. Let's start talking then. What is the difference between these two sentences? In all our territory, the institution of Negro slaves, as it now exists in the Confederate States, shall be recognized and protected by Congress and by the territorial government. And the inhabitants of the several Confederate states and territories shall have the right to take to such territory any slaves lawfully held by them in any of the states or territories of the Confederate States. And we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Any ideas? What is the main difference between those two sentences? I'm not talking about what sense they make grammatically, but something deeper. Anyone? Cătălin?
I heard some words that you might call racist nowadays in the first one. I heard more egalitarian expressions in the second one. I heard more humans, not just Negroes.
Okay.
That's the difference that struck me.
That is an accurate observation. So the difference is the first sentence was one taken from the law from Confederate States and the Constitution of the Confederate States before the war in the United States. And the second one, the second phrase was taken from the Declaration of Independence, still in the United States. And the main difference from my perspective between the two is the difference of values. But also there's another difference, and this difference is related to politics. You know, the state of Mississippi, for example, stated in its reasoning for wanting to leave the Federal Union before the war that our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery. This was official policy. It was not just opinion, it was law. So what is all of that? What is all that about? It's politics, basically. It's the ability of this politics to, can you hear me? I get lag.
We can hear you perfectly.
Okay. So it is politics. It is an unfortunate but common view that politics it's unrelated to everyday life. That is only related to special people, to politicians, to legal, to official businesses, things that the average person knows nothing about and should not care about, should not bother with, okay? This, from my perspective, is an unfortunate view because politics is about life, you know? Governments make decisions that affect our everyday life. Politics decides many things with those decisions. The consequences are felt as a ripple down the line for many generations, not just the one where the law was introduced, not just our generation, okay? I already gave the slavery example, but let's take another one. For instance, when it was decided that every American should be able to carry a gun, to defend himself, to carry a gun, that law is still in effect today, and it affects many people's lives today. What do I mean by this? Well, we all know that teenagers sometimes get access to guns and sometimes bad things happen because of this. Additionally, when it was, for example, decided in certain Muslim countries that women should not be able to drive without their male guardian, that law was also in place for many, many years, okay? In some countries, rights of ladies are still far, far below the rights of men, their husbands. Laws do change, but this change takes the involvement of individuals and the knowledge of the population regarding politics and regarding what's going on in their society. And also this knowledge on how it can affect us and people around us. The importance of politics is enormous, and it will continue to grow as politics slowly gets itself involved in all aspects of our lives, especially on the international scene, and especially given the current context. Now, coming a bit closer to home, the fact that hospitals have or don't have resources during this corona crisis, it has to do with competent administration, it has to do with respect for the law, it also has to do with politics. It seems like a long time ago now, but remember 3, 4, 5 months ago, we were able to go out at any hour of the day or the night, and nobody would stop us. And suddenly, due to some tweaks in the rules, tweaks decided, you guessed it, by politicians, by politics. Now, what we need to do? We need to get signed permission from the company that we work for to go far away from home. And also, this seems ridiculous, but we need to sign permission for ourselves to go shopping for groceries in our own neighborhood. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these rules are bad. I'm not saying we should ignore them. We should not respect them. This is not my point here. My point is, and what I am saying, is that each of these rules should be thought about. It should be questioned. Each of these rules should make us think. Because it is easy to imagine a world where certain state governments get used to this control, to this power, and then become reluctant to give it back once the health crisis is over. This is maybe not something that is mentioned enough. At least in my history class, it was not. But Hitler was first elected democratically, remember? Now, what I'm trying to say with all this stuff, racism, human rights, now coronavirus and its own restrictions, well, I'm trying to say a lot. A lot of it is rambling, but the main message is this. You should consider politics important for you and your family's life. And you should realize that politicians and parties are very different. And you should choose to support those who align with your values the most. You should forget about finding the perfect model, I don't know, in some politician, and accept that good enough is, well, good enough, okay? One of my favorite short company statements of values is something like, done is better than perfect. What do I mean by this? Well, a politician or a party that is good enough is better than the perfect we will never see in this life. So think about this. And lastly, if you don't like how things are run locally, get involved, you know? Get yourself and your friends motivated enough to act, because only by taking responsibility and changing things, by trying to replace the local authorities who don't serve you well, is how we change things. Replace those local authorities with someone who shares your values, with a friend, or why not with yourself. Some of you know that in the previous elections, I was in a volunteer, basically in well, not Savadisla, but a small village in the Savadisla area, where I was part of the commission who checked that there's no fraud during elections, let's say. And the location of that event, of the elections themselves, was at a primary school in Litane, from Savadisla area. And what strikes me was how difficult it was for me to live in that school for 2 days, 2 Sundays, because of the fact that they did not have current water in their schools, and because of the fact that, obviously, because of this, the toilet and everything surrounding their bathroom habits was severely limited. It was last century, not this century. And all of this is due to politics, from my perspective. Now, again, if you don't like what you see, local politicians, or well, why not aim higher? If you don't like the prime minister you see, aim to replace them with someone who shares your values. That's my spiel, and I'm up for questions.
So now Adriane, he had 3 minutes for question and answer section.
Hopefully we can stir a useful discussion out of this. Yes, Razvan.
So you said that we should get involved in politics. How much time do you think it is enough to actually be counted as involved? Because let's say for Toastmasters, I come here once a week and I see results. How much time do you think we should spend being involved in politics?
Well, as you can see, obviously, from the Toastmasters experience or any sort of volunteer experience, the more you invest, the more you get back in the results. And what I mean by this is there's no clear rule to me. I mean, obviously, we all have careers, we all have maybe relationships, some of us have kids. We cannot invest all of our lives in getting involved in politics. My perspective, though, is that for making the choice and electing someone in an informed manner, 2 or 3 hours of research previously to the elections is enough. If you want to participate and actively promote people who share your values, then I would, and I have, joined the party and try to support them with money if I don't have time, with time when I do have time, and sometimes, like some of you know, with training, communication training, or any other stuff. So each of us has skill sets which they can help with in the ONG area or in the politics area. We don't need to all be mayors or prime ministers. That's my perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you, Razvan. Who else wants to stir some dialogue?
I have a question.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned was to think about some rules and question them. So for me, that's the essence of critical thinking. Do not take anything for granted. Critical thinking is not something that we are taught in school, or even it's not something we can develop in schools, but we can develop as adults. Mm-hmm. How do you start critical thinking if you don't have the practice?
It's a tricky one, I think. And I don't think schools are unable to do that. I think the current state of our schools is in such a way that maybe it's not willing enough to do that. From my perspective, it all starts from some scientific training, from understanding the difference between opinion and fact. This is the base of everything from my perspective. Being able to tell the difference between somebody stating their feelings or their opinions about a certain things, and then things that actually happen, that are facts, there are physical realities, right? My opinion about gravity doesn't matter. If I jump out the window, I will crack my head, okay? So this, I think, is missing from the educational system, insisting on teaching people how to make a difference between the opinions which we may agree with or disagree with, and facts which, regardless of the fact, pardon my pun, that we agree or disagree with them, are still there. Facts don't care about us agreeing. That's my point, I guess.
Sure.
I see that Claudio has risen the red flag now.
Yeah.
So let's stop here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian, for the importance of the law and how can we improve that to get involved. And I will encourage you to send some feedback for Adrian for his speech, and you can use the chat. You have 1 minute to send, and also in the meantime I I will give you some tricks and tips about the sleep. How can we improve? We can improve by reduce consume of alcohol in the evening, or just replace, or just drink a lot of water after we drink. The importance of the drink is that if we drink, then we're going fast. We sleep much easier, but we not achieve deep sleep. This is the big problem. The time pass, and the next section, it is our phases of light sleep or improvisation phases. And before we start that, I guess we can have a break for 2-5 minutes, or yeah, it's okay. And I encourage you to everyone to unmute yourself and have some discussion.
Or get a refill for your drinks, or enjoy the
refill.
meeting as well.
Go to bathroom, or okay, not go to sleep.
Well,
before I not present Table Topics Master Corina Rus, and I want to let Corina to start his part of improv, and I encourage you to raise your hand if you want to participate on his her section. So Corina, before I will invite Corina on the virtual stage, I will also answer to Corina's. Corina likes a glass of wine before bed, never get me wrong. Yeah, I like it. Corina?
Hello. Here comes the most feared section of the meeting. I prepared for you some interesting questions. I think that you will like them as much as I do. And I encourage you to get a good dose of adrenaline and to exercise your public speaking skills, or to find them in case you haven't done that yet. So who wants to be the woke up persons of this evening? Okay, we get Catalin.
I am pointing at a lot of other people.
Yes, we should.
Now let's. I'm gonna volunteer for a speech if there's no one involved, but I'd rather leave some time because I've already had a speech.
So we had Catalin, Răzvan. Okay, Laura. Maybe two more. Bun. Adi. And another courageous person. You are all courageous, but. Okay, so 4 person will be. Or I see someone nominating Remus. Great. So we will start with the first very woke up and energized human of this evening, which is Cătălin. Cătă, please choose a number from 1 to 7.
Let's go with 3.
With 3. Great. You are a bed. Describe your life. Do you want me to repeat?
Is for everyone.
You are a bed. Describe your life.
God, it takes so long to find an image of a bed and use it as a virtual background. Let's not do that. Again. Again, he just jumped on me last night. He just slammed up, got up into his home dirty with his shoes on, and just jumped on the bed. I broke a spring. I literally broke a spring, and he doesn't even care. He keeps yawning in the night, making these weird noises, snoring all the time. How dare he treat me like that? He's a horrible, horrible, horrible master. Really wish someone much nicer would own. Like, I don't know, a small girl or something would decorate me and uh, dress me up with pretty, colorful blankets and bed sheets. Not this horrible, drunken, uh, old man. I feel like I haven't had proper care in a very, very long time, and I wish someone would just, like, actually make the bed every morning. Just be a kind person and treat me right. I I know I'm gonna end up thrown in the street at the end of the month. He's probably just gonna buy a mattress and sleep on it because he doesn't really care about a simple bed. But furniture have feelings too, and they should be taken care of.
Great. So we find out what a bed really thinks about us. So our next very woken up participant is Razvan. I invite you to choose a number from 1 to 7, but without number 3.
5.
5. You've just hit the record for the longest period of sleep in the world. What is your secret?
Where am I? What is this? 2021 already? What? Oh, okay. Yes. So this long sleep might have been from all these pills behind me. Like, I used to work in a drugstore, and one day I just got fed up and I tried everything. I didn't actually plan to go to sleep, but let's say sleep for a year is acceptable. It's close to that. Now, I think if you get this, I have no clue. This is a medicine for sleep. This one is for headaches. That one right there in the back is for a sore throat. This thing right here is for your ears. And if you combine them, you can get the best sleep you have ever wished for. And I'd like to say it's free, but it is not free. Come to our drugstore and we make you sleep. Thank you.
Thank you for your secret, for telling us the secret. So the next person who will excite us with a new improvised speech is Laura. Laura, please choose a number from 1 to 7, but without 3 and 5.
I'll pick 2.
Great. You are the sleeping beauty. What is your routine before going to bed? Take your 30 seconds to think about, and then you'll have 2 minutes to tell us.
Can you repeat what's my routine before?
Before bed. You are the sleeping beauty. What is your routine before going to bed?
So my friends, I don't know how familiar you are with fairy tales, but I am very familiar, more than I want to actually. I kind of hate them. It's always about this helpless princess that needs to be saved by somebody. But anyhow, I am apparently the Sleeping Beauty, and I am here to give you a tutorial about my before sleep routine. It's rather complicated. So waiting for my Prince Charming to come to wake me up and save me from my bitter sleep filled with nightmares, I take a few measures. Firstly, I put some makeup on because, you know, if I want to get any chance for that Prince Charming to kiss me, I need to be good looking. So yeah, I will go to sleep with my makeup on. But I will use flossing and mouthwash. Yes, you don't want to mess with Prince Charming whatsoever. What other things can make me repulsive so I will not be saved? Let me see. Well, I guess I will wear something really nice just to lure the Prince Charming. And maybe place a nice setting so everything will be up and ready for Prince Charming to come and save me. If I remember well, he's my only chance to escape my long-lasting sleep. So yeah, fingers crossed for me, please.
Thank you, Laura. Also, thank you, Kata, for the inspiring background. So, Adi will be our next improvising speaker. Adi, please choose from 1, 4, 6, and 7.
7.
7. You have woke up from the best dream that you've ever had. Describe it to us.
I woke up from the best dream that I have ever had.
Yeah.
I should describe it to you. Okay. Well, I am also Sleeping Beauty, and I just had a 100-year sleep. And this freaking Prince Charming, pardon my French, came and woke me up when I was about to experience the best part of it, right? I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, he's just thinking that every princess needs his abusive lips, and uninvited, I might add, coming near me and waking me up when I was having so much fun. I mean, sleeping, like our Toastmaster Marianne mentioned, is very, very important for our health. He rudely woke me up, like I said, when I was during REM sleep, I think, and also having the best dream of my life. I think this is really rude, and I will report him. I mean, the police should probably take this bastard to prison. Not because he rudely woke me up from my sleep, but because, like I said, kissing someone without permission is sexual assault.
Thank you, Adi. Let's get to our next and final improvising speaker, which is Remus. Remus, choose wisely from 1 or 4.
1.
1. You suddenly wake up outside in your garden and realize that you were sleepwalking again. But this time, how are you going to explain the duct tape and the garbage bag that you're holding?
Well,
To
first
repeat
of
again?
all, no, it's okay.
Okay.
First of all, Catalin, I think you have the wrong background because all our Sleeping Beauties today were more like Fiona version of Sleeping Beauty, not Aurora.
Oh.
And well, I've been told that I talk in my sleep. It's mostly gibberish, fortunately, but people heard me talk in my sleep. Also, if someone wakes me up suddenly, not only I'm really cranky, but sometimes I'm just gonna tell him stuff like, I don't know, it's no time to leave the party yet, and he would be like, what party? You know, the party. And I would be all angry because he doesn't get what I'm saying, but I would make no sense. So sleepwalking would be, well, pretty much the next step in the sleep deprivation evolution for me, because especially during this time of quarantine, I'm working for 1 week, but I'm on vacation. I have holidays the next week, so I work 1 week and stay home the other, and I mostly binge watch theater. And well, luckily, you only see this side of the room, which is the only available clean side of the room. I'm sitting on a bed. The phone is set on some pillows, and there's a whole lot of stuff around here. It's a chaos. So I probably end up picking something from around here, and I started cleaning because it would be time after all this quarantine. And the only problem is not explaining the duct tape and the garbage bag, but of course explaining why I don't have a paper to prove what I'm doing outside. Thank you.
Thank you, Remus. So let's give a round of virtual applause again for all the speakers. I will repeat them all. It's first was Cătălin, after Răzvan, Laura, Adrian, and Remus. Big round of virtual applause. And now you should pick your favorite speaker, and let's see we have in the chat the link to sli.do, and let's see at the end who is the lucky winner.
Thank you, Corina, for a dreamy part of improvisation of the sleep. And we continue our last section, that is the deep part of the this meeting, is the phase of feedback. And I will invite Adelina Platon to present her report. Adelina?
Thank you, Marianne. We'll now head to the third section of this evening, which is the, as Marianne said, the evaluation part. And we'll start with the evaluation for prepared speeches. So for the first speech of this evening, we have as evaluator Ioana Neksha. She gave us her answer to our tonight's question, which is what you specifically do to sleep better. And she answered, I am lucky. I sleep easily, so all I need is to be tired. She will evaluate Petra's speech, and I will invite her in a big round of applause to present her report. Ioana?
Thank you, Adelina. Dear Petra, dear audience, I think it's the first time I'm evaluating you. And for a small part of it, I am gonna follow your advice and take advantage of the fact that you cannot chase me on the street these days and throw tomatoes or anything else. I'm gonna start with the parts that I liked, and they are not small in number. So the first thing I liked is the way you connected with us. You said in the first sentence, negotiation is present in our everyday life. And you gave the examples of negotiating with our partners or in our jobs, new cars, and so on. Second, you said that this BATNA model is something that's very suitable for you and your personality. And I felt that that gave you some sort of legitimacy to come and talk to us about it, because my understanding was that you use it. Third thing I liked was the fact that you did somehow this model with Toastmasters, and you said it's something similar to our manual and the way we prepare. What I didn't understand is what Patna actually is, because my expectation, especially it's written in capital letters, was that it's an acronym. And I didn't hear you explaining what that means. If it's not an acronym, then what is it? What kind of technique? The only thing I understood is that it's a way of preparing, a technique of preparing. What I've noticed from your other speeches is that you have a certain labyrinthic way of presenting a topic, which might in some moments lose your audience. And if you lose focus for even 5 seconds, it's a high possibility that you lose the entire thread. My impression, and I'm convinced that you are a very smart guy, and I feel that you start with the assumption that your audience is very smart as well. And sometimes I feel that you are very afraid to state the obvious. But sometimes what's obvious, it's only obvious for you. And sometimes for an audience, it helps for you to even state the obvious. So what I would suggest for you to put more clarity in your speeches would be, I don't know if when you prepare, you write them, but I would suggest writing them down and actually writing the structure, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then what exactly do you want your audience to be left with? What is the message of your speech? Writing down, I think, forces more clarity than just expressing, just saying it out loud with words. I hope it made sense. I have some other suggestions as well, but I don't have any more time. So thank you very much, Cosmin Huruial, for your speech, and we can talk more on this. Thank you.
Thank you to Ioana. The second speech evaluator for this evening is George Blaga. He will evaluate Cătălin Bălan's speech, and he also gave us an answer for tonight's question. He answered this: for an amazing sleep, I would have a long walk and a good book. Let's welcome in a big round of applause, George Blaga.
Hello, everyone. Let's have a little recap. Tonight we heard an amazing speech from Cătălin. He spoke about negotiations. This is his main topic, and negotiations in his experience, his past experience, or in his future experiences. Now, I want to share with you 2 ideas, 2 main points in my evaluations. First of all, Cătălin, I really enjoyed your speech because it was, wait just a sec. It was very well structured, and you chose the right, I think the examples that you chose were very good. First of all, you started with an example of negotiation that most of us experience, the first job interview, or we will experience, some of us. And immediately we connected with you, or at least myself, I connected with you. I already saw myself reliving those moments. And easily you moved on in a more personal example or an illustration of negotiation, namely your experience in organizing the main parts of a Toastmaster meeting, the Vice President of Education job, and easily move on to your main idea, the negotiation map. Overall, I think you did a great job and structuring your speech and choosing the right examples for illustrating us your idea. And what I do believe you can improve, only one idea that I wrote down is, let me illustrate, you used, I noticed this tendency of yours in other speeches as well, for illustrating what I want to say. It was just first in the beginning, you said, I have a question, and you started to explain us or to prepare us for the question. And it was, I have a question, and after 7, 8 sentences later, you actually ask us the question. What is my suggestion? You could start directly without saying, I have a question. You could say, what actually scares you? And after that, you could come with some personal experience example that I already you already told us. So in summary, I really enjoyed your speech because of your examples and the way you structured it. And next time, I would suggest you to make it more simplify your don't over explain it. Thank you.
Thank you to George for your evaluation. The last but not the least speak evaluator for this evening is Horatiu Stănculescu. He will evaluate Adrian Sălășan's speech, and he also gave us an answer to tonight's question. He said, at night, I do not sleep a lot, 6 hours, but it's a wonderful choice to lay in bed for half an hour after a lunch. Not necessarily sleeping, but recharging. Let's welcome in a big round of applause, Horatiu Stănculescu.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, Adrian had the objective to deliver a speech on a controversial subject and influence the public into taking account his opinion on it. The second objective was to organize his speech using logic and emotion. So, Adrian, I've written down three things that I liked and 2 things that could be improved upon. So, the first one, I very much liked your posture. You stood up, and this helped with the enthusiasm in delivering the subject because it resembles more of Toastmasters as we know it. So, congrats to that. Second, great stories and examples. I like the one that was about the election committee and your opinion on it. It had emotion, so the second objective was ticked there. Especially when you described how you felt with no running water and with no functional toilets. So it's very relatable. Keep on doing that. Also, the third part, great preparation of the Q&A session. I've seen that you influenced and convinced at least 2 people to address your questions. Thus, you delivered fast, helpful, and specific answers to the questions. So congrats for that. Also, time management, very good. Regarding the 2 things that I recommend to improve upon were as follows. First, the quotes in the beginning took me a while to understand them. They were long, and I've seen you a little bit stuttering, so I didn't know when the quote was over and when another one began. So I recommend either to use shorter quotes, or to use the personal example that being more understandable and more relatable, being in the same country and in the same place. Okay, now regarding technical stuff, the eye contact. This is a little bit spooky, but I didn't feel like I was being watched. Well, I've seen that you had your laptop in one part and your camera in the other part. You were talking at 60 degrees angle. So what I recommend to you, if you have the possibility to have the camera and the laptop in the same part for you to switch easier between the camera and the screen. As a general rule that I've learned, for 2/3 of the time, please watch the dot in the camera. And when you want to see a reaction from the public, please switch a little bit and check the screen as so to see the reaction of the public. So keep up the posture, have great stories and personal stories, have the preparation as well as you did for the Q&A section, maintain your eye contact on the dot of the camera, and have a better beginning as to make use for the public to relate to you even better. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Horatio, for your evaluation speech. I will now head to the technical evaluation section, and I would like to start the presentation of the report with the A counter, Claudiu Nemes. Let's welcome Claudiu with a big round of applause.
So, Ioana, you did it 10 us and 2 prolongation words and is, and repetitive word int and to, totally 12 distressing sound and words. Marian Pânzariu, 12 us, 6 word prolongation, it is, to, he, I will, and 2 repetitive words, it is, and there, and 1 lip smacking, totally 23 sound distressing sounds. Adelina Platon, 9 us, 2 word prolongation and 2, totally 11. Răzvan, congratulations, no any distressing word or some nothing to catch, congratulations. Claudiu Filip, 5 us and 1 prolongation word and totally 6. Petre Huriala, 30 us, 9 word prolongation, be, then, I, and, will be also, and 1 inappropriate pause, totally 40 distressing words or sound. Cătălin Balan for us, and 1 prolongation word, I, totally 5. Adrian Sălășan, 27 us, 2 word prolongation, 2 and I. Repetitive words, it is, and on. It's really nearby, just is just to have time to think about next word. And totally 23. So, Ioana Nexa, Corina Rus, 2, 3 us, word prolongation, 2, your and our, 6 totally. I will go to evaluator, Ioana Nexa, 20 us and 2 word prolongation, 22s. Georgia Blaga, 28 us, 2 word prolongation, totally 30. Horatiu Stănculescu, 2 us. So for the others, can say you privately or something like that, but I want to mention it that Laura and Remus has also lip smacking, and sounds some not so good noise. Okay, thank you for your attention. Back to Adelina.
Thank you, Claudio, for your report. Now we're heading to our grammarian's report to see how we stood up with our English.
Thank you, Adelina.
Razvan?
Yes. So, Ioana, as a president, yeah, if you wish you said that at some point, if you wish your picture, okay, actually this is correct. I'm going to skip over Ioana because she's not here. So, Marianne, as a Toastmaster for the evening, you have a thing with S's, like S, and you always add them when it's not their time to be added. I will explain this rule at the end of my evaluation. And I have noticed that you've struggled to pronounce a word, persuasive or something. The word is persuasive. So persuasive. That's it. Thank you. Adelina Platon as EG. You said at some point the answer to tonight's meeting. I think it's the answer to tonight's question. Despite that, everything else is nice. Claudiu Nemes, I have seen that you have a tendency when you finish the sentences to use the word words. Like when you use it mid-sentence, word, use it very well. You say 5 bad words. But when you finish the sentence, you say 5 bad words. So try to pay attention on the word, and it's always pronounced the same. The place of the word in a sentence does not change its pronunciation. Petre Hurială as the first speaker. My message would be towards that situation. I would recommend here to say, my message is focusing on that situation, because with this speech, you didn't send a message to the situation. You sent us a message about the situation. Cătălin Bălan, as the second speaker, I don't know what was with that answer of the question. You said, I just go to the sleep. I just go to sleep. And
that's on Marianne.
Okay, you get more minus points because you entered during an evaluation. And you said at some point, you don't feel good at it. You don't feel that you are good at it. Okay, Adrian Sălășan as the third speaker. At some point you said liable or something. I couldn't get the word. I Googled and I figured it might be liable. I think that was the word you wanted to say. And you said at some point, every American gets a gun to defend himself. I think here it is to defend themselves. Every American here gets a gun to defend themselves. Corina Rus, as the table topics master, at some point you said public speaking. I don't know if this is an actual word or expression, but I advise you to use the word public speaking. Laura at the table topics, congratulations. I couldn't find anything. Remus, you said at some point during this time for quarantine. I think it is right to say during this time in quarantine. George Blaga as the first evaluator, or is it the second evaluator? Wait. Yes, the second evaluator, sorry. You used easily a lot of times in the sentences, and you didn't use it after the verb. Easily is an adverb, and you said easily you moved on. The recommended form here is you moved on easily because it is an adverb. Okay, Horatiu Stănculescu. I don't know if the internet was to blame here or not, but at some point you said influence the public, it takes account of it. I think here it would have been right to say influence the public so that it takes account of it. Like it was, you were talking about Adi's opinion and you influence the public so that it takes account of it. Okay, and now with the S's, what I wanted to say. I have noticed that a lot of people from the meeting tend to add an S where it doesn't belong. Now we add S there are two cases when we can add an S to a verb. When the person doing it is the third person, like I am, you are, he, she is. Here, at he or she, you add an S, or at the plural. But when the subject is a third person plural, the verb doesn't get an S. So for example, Lisa and Ronald, it is a third person plural subject, but it doesn't get an S because it's made out of two singular. I hope you get me. Thank you. This was my report. Despite me, no one has used the word of the meeting. And the expression I liked the most in this meeting was done is better than perfect. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Răzvan, for your report. And the last but not the least technical evaluator for this evening is our timer. Let's welcome Claudiu Filip to see how we managed our time.
So, hello, everybody. I think the meeting started in time. I honestly didn't pay attention. Sorry for that. And let's present my report. The first speaker, Petre Hurială, you had 7 minutes and you spoke for 7:09. The second speaker, Cătălin Bălan, you had 7 minutes and you spoke for 6 minutes and 42. The third speaker, Adrian Sălășan, you had 11 minutes and you spoke for 16.22, but it was my bad because I didn't show you the cards when I supposed to. Sorry for that. At table topics, our first speaker, Cătălin, you all had 2 minutes. I only will say your number. Cătălin, 1 minute point 27. Răzvan, 1 minute 18. Laura, 1 minute and a half. Adi, 1 minute 27. And Remus, 2 minutes 08. And at the evaluation sections, we have this timing. Ioana Neksha, you had 3 minutes and you spoke for 4 minutes 02. George Blaga, you had 3 minutes and you spoke for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Horatiu Stănculescu, from 3 minutes you spoke for 3 minutes and 37. And the technical evaluation, Claudiu Nemes, you had 2 minutes and you spoke for 2 minutes and 59. Răzvan Farkas, you had 5 minutes and you spoke for 6 minutes and 06. Okay, I want to congratulate the ones that you stay in time. These are Cătălin as table topic, Răzvan, Laura, Adi, Claudiu Nemes, and I don't know exactly. Thank you very much for your time and hope to see you soon at the new role. Adelina?
Thank you, Claudio. Now it's time for the general evaluator's report. I put the S correct. I would like to start by thanking you, Cătălin, because the room was very well equipped and you created the environment for our meeting to take place. So thank you again. I will go with the president, Ioana. I would like you to thank you for the warm welcoming of all the guests and members. The Toastmaster, Marianne, I would like you to congratulate on the theme and also for the creativity you had on using the analogy between phases of sleep and the meeting structure. And as a suggestion, you tend to use comments after every speaker's speech. I would suggest you to avoid doing that in order not to influence somehow every people's feedback. It's just a personal opinion. I'll go with the technical evaluators, the A counter, Claudiu Nemes. I want you to congratulate with the curiosities you brought to us about dreams and that you linked your role with tonight's theme. You said about the fact that in our sleep we don't have like prolonged words or ums. And I want you to congratulate you also because you had a very punctual report, short and concise. Our timer, Claudiu Philip, I want to congratulate you for bringing us a quote from Benjamin Franklin about time. As a suggestion, is more of a grammarian suggestion. You said technical evaluation instead of technical evaluators when you refer to Răzvan and Claudiu. Except that you are very punctual and I want you to congratulate you for that. Our grammarian, Răzvan Farkas, I first wrote down, I would like you to talk more on the importance of this evening word because I somehow felt it left behind. I felt like I need more encouragement on using it. And to congratulations on the remark, Kata interrupted your feedback. And to thank you for the explanation on how to use asses. Our table topic master, Corina Rus, I want you to congratulate you for your creative topics. And as a suggestion, I would like you to present more, a bit more your role and what's your which are the expectation on guests regarding the time and how to perform on the stage. I will go to the speech evaluator, Ioana Neksha, who evaluated Petre's speech. I like the way you structured your evaluation speech and also the fact that you use constructive feedback and you completed your suggestion with specific examples. Second speech evaluator, Georgia Blaga, you gave positive feedback and used many references to Catalin's speech, so I want you to congratulate you for that. And the last but not the least speech evaluator, Horatiu Stanculescu, I want you to congratulate you for for using a very good structure and for the way you structured your ideas with 1, 2, or the first, the second. It made it very clear for me and easy to follow. And you also gave specific suggestion for the eye contact suggestion. You came with examples for improvement. And you also had a final review with the main ideas of your evaluation speech. I want to thank you all for this evening and for completing your roles. And I want to give back the word to Marianne for to see what else he prepared for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Adelina. I have just one remark about the sleep. The power of the sleep is giving us the time to relax, to learn and grow. and this way we can evolve. All the information or kind of information I take it from the book Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson, and I will recommend you to read it or listen. And on the last part, the winner of the section Table Topics Master, big round of applause to Cătălin. I will invite Cătălin to present, to take the gift.
I don't think we have a lot of time for this.
Yeah. You
So
can
finish
finish
your-
the meeting after that.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I am happy for your votes. I am glad that you decided I had the best improvised speech. I had fun doing it. Unfortunately, Joanna had to drop out. She mentioned this in chat. So I'm going to take over the president for the evening to close the remarks. And for that, I have one request for everyone. I'm going to hit a magical unmute button so you can hit a proper round of applause for absolutely everyone in this meeting. So please unmute your mics and round of applause for Marian and Adelina for conducting this meeting. I think you guys did an absolutely awesome job, and you did a really good job for bringing in the English meeting for every week, for the English meeting of our months. And I want to congratulate you for the effort that you put in, for all the preparation that goes into one of these meetings. That being said, I'm gonna do a sneaky little switch to Romanian moment. Și vreau să vă mulțumesc tuturor. Știu că sunt aici câțiva oameni care nu sunt din club. Știu aici că sunt oameni care nu sunt din niciun club. Pentru toți invitații care vin, cum vi s-a părut ședința, ce v-a plăcut, ce credeți că poate fi îmbunătățit, aveți câteva idei pentru noi? Mihai, asta e pentru tine. Uite-l pe Mihai.
Bună! Am fost clandestin introdus în această discuție de Cătă. Am povestit despre asta și am fost un pic interesat despre ce faceți aici la discuțiile astea și mi se pare super șmecher.
Ăștia suntem.
Un pic confusing să vezi așa mulți oameni deodată și cred că real life e mult mai ok.
Mai vii?
Nu, gata, l-am terminat. Nu sunteți aici oamenii cu experiență, nu eu. Eu am venit aici să învăț, sper.
În principiu, îmi pare bine că ne oferi și tu niște feedback. De asta ne întâlnim, ca să ne oferim unii altora feedback și mulțumesc pentru că ai acceptat această provocare de a zice că suntem oameni faini și că e confuz așa pe net mulți oameni.
Sper că de acum încolo o să dau feedback mai valoros. Prima dată e un pic mai fishy. Nu știu că fishy. Înțelegi.
O să rămânem oricum la povești și după. Am în schimb două anunțuri administrative, destul de scurte pentru toată lumea. În primul rând, în data de 14 mai, vom avea un training organizat de Ildi, s-a ocupat cel mai mult de ea și echipa de PR.
Și membership-ul.
Și membership, așa, Ildi și echipa de membership, că Ildi și echipa de PR, e Ildi și echipa de PR și echipa de membership. Ade, știi cumva să ne dai informații care va fi subiectul, cine vine?
Subiectul este invitație la libertate. Trainerul care îl va susține este Silviu Prândeanu. Evenimentul va fi în 14 mai de la ora 17:45. E vorba despre ceea ce presupune a fi convingeri limitative în procesele noastre cognitive și în viața de zi cu zi. Evenimentul este dedicat tuturor membrilor Toastmasters din România și cluburilor Rotary. Deci vă încurajăm să participați și să să vă bucurați de oportunitățile pe care clubul Toastmasters Cluj vi le aduce prin intermediul acestui training.
Rar avem ocazia de a primi invitați să țină traininguri, mai ales că nu într-o marți, nu se suprapune cu o ședință, cade într-o joi, avem o zi în plus pe săptămână în care ne putem vedea. Și al doilea anunț, am stabilit în board că vom ține alegerile în a treia săptămână din mai. Asta este data de 21. În data de 21 vom ține alegerile pentru următorul board. E o ședință foarte importantă, va fi o ședință închisă și este foarte, foarte indicat să veniți toți și să vă expuneți părerea. Iar dacă vreți să candidați, cu Ioana trebuie vorbit, dar nu sigur. Aici nu promit, nu bag mâna în foc. Vom veni cu informații în plus. Acestea fiind spuse, declar ședința închisă și lăsăm Zoom-ul deschis la povești din partea tuturor celor care doresc.
Hey.